and chill, baby. I'm scared it'll hurt. Oh, God. You're so bad. Jenny's moans and breathless whispers seeped through the crack of Dad's study door. Through the gap, I could clearly see two naked bodies tangled desperately on Dad's desk. The position was wild and vivid, the movements bold and intense. Torn clothes scattered across the floor proved they were brewing up a storm. But standing outside that door, my mind went completely blank. I clearly remembered the psycho old man in Bitter Ridge, pressing my head into the wooden trough used for chopping pig feed, beating me mercilessly. Rotten pig feed filled my nostrils and mouth, but it couldn't stop the blood pouring out in torrents. His knees and elbows hammered my spine and skull repeatedly. My eyeballs bulged out, but he didn't stop. I couldn't do anything but feel the pain, because my limbs had all been shattered by the back of his machete. Run, will you? You bitch. You were given to me, so you're mine. Try to run again and I'll kill you. When the curved blade came down, red splattered before my eyes. And then I felt no more pain. My soul left my body. What I saw was nothing but bloody pulp. After realizing I was dead, he still kicked my body viciously a few times, spat on me and picked me up and threw me into the pig pen, leaving my corpse to be gnawed on by the sow floating in midair. I finally saw that my blood-soaked remains were nothing but skin and bones. My bald head stripped of all hair. You couldn't even tell if I was male or female anymore. I just loved doing it in the study. It's thrilling. Derek's voice snapped me out of my thoughts, and I realized I had been reborn. Reborn to the day Jenny lost her virginity. This time I chose to help her get what she wanted. Violet still haven't found that receipt. You're dropping this piano class today whether you like it or not. A pig dreaming of eating fine grain. Do you even deserve it? Dad couldn't wait for me to find the receipt and return to cancel the class. His face full of rage, he came back after me. The two inside panicked, scrambling to hide, terrified. But the study was simply furnished except under the desk. There was nowhere to hide. The two of them clutched their clothes, cowering under the desk, trembling in my past life. At this moment, I stood frozen at the door, not knowing what to do until Dad, sensing something was wrong, came up after me. When the scandal broke, Jenny got slapped twice, and Derek was sent to prison on attempted rape charges by the best lawyer Dad could hire. Jenny was so scared by Dad's fury that she went silent, never standing up to defend her lover even once. But afterwards, she blamed me for telling on them. A cup of drugged bubble tea, planned long in advance, knocked me out on the way to a camping trip. I was loaded onto a truck that had been waiting, and sent deep into the Appalachian Mountains, to a place I would never escape from, to suffer endless torture from that psycho, until I died miserably and ended up in a pig's belly. And her, she took all of Mom and Dad's love, along with the college fund Grandma left for me, and had herself a grand old time. For quite a while when I was starved and beaten by that psycho, they took her to see flowers in the south, to watch the sunrise over the mountains in Colorado, to ski and build ice sculptures in Aspen. Even when I died, they were throwing her a grand birthday party. When someone casually asked about me, their faces filled with disgust. Who knows which wild man she ran off with? Shameless thing, 20 years we raised her for nothing. Closing the door, I rushed downstairs, bracing for their irritation, and apologized carefully. Mom, Dad, I'm here. I'm sorry I kept you waiting. It's just a piano class. I promise I'll drop it. I'll go with you right now to process the refund. They wanted to take the money from the piano class Grandma had enrolled me in, and use it to pay for Jenny's painting class, hobby she'd stick with for 3 minutes at most in my past life. I refused in the end. Not only was I forced to drop the class, but I was also made to take a week off school and kneel at home to reflect this life. I knew better. The two who are about to explode saw how cooperative I was. Their eyes flickered and they held back, only muttering so careless and forgetful, never giving us a moment's peace. Can't you learn from your sister and be a little more sensible? I nodded in agreement. Of course. My sister was sensible, making them grandparents early, so they could enjoy a 3-generation household, with no one to disturb them. The dry kindling burned fiercely all afternoon, but the thug Derek wasn't satisfied. As he got dressed to leave, he casually grabbed Dad's designer pen from the study. It was a keepsake Grandpa had left to Dad. Not particularly valuable, but deeply meaningful. But Derek tossed it to the front desk of a foot massage parlor to sweet-talk his ex-girlfriend. I knew all this so clearly, because Derek's cousin sat in front of me in class, excitedly recounting his cousin's glorious deeds every single day. Of course, he didn't yet know his cousin's new chick was my sister Jenny. He gestured animatedly, describing how his cousin fought for an entire afternoon and had to down 24 raw oysters to recover. That chick, smart, hot body, totally game. Couldn't resist my cousin's smooth talk. Just a few wilted roses his ex didn't want, and she handed over her whole heart, even gave him all her allowance. My cousin's a genius and got guts. Juggles several girls and never gets caught. Even dared to do it in her old man study for 300 rounds. Now that's a real man. I kept my head down, writing furiously, but couldn't hide the sarcasm in my eyes. This was the love Jenny lost her mind over in my past life. The happiness she made me pay for with my life. In the end, it was nothing but gossip and a joke to others. If that's the case, I wish them a long life together. May they be locked in forever. That evening when I got home, the battlefield had already been cleaned up. But when Jenny clung to Mom's arm, acting cute and begging for money, her collar opened just enough to reveal the marks. He didn't yet know that the study's security camera had been fixed a few days ago. Their desperate entanglement and wild frenzy were all captured on surveillance. All I had to do was drop a hint to Dad. All her shameful acts would be exposed. By then, the only one facing ruin would be her. I smirked and lowered my eyes, but my expression landed right in Jenny's sight. Violet, what are you smiling at? You get to go on trips with the old hag's money. But when it's my turn, Mom says no. You think it's funny that I'm not the favorite? The old hag favored you, and now you're proud you get to rub it in my face over and over. How nice for you. She bit her lip, tears welling up like a delicate flower trembling in the morning mist. If the scene of her in the study that afternoon, choking her partner while biting him wildly was my imagination. Fine. I admit it. I'm not as good as you. I'm the pitiful, unloved one. Okay. Happy now? Tears streaming down her face. She turned and ran into her room, burying herself under the covers and sobbing. I hadn't said anything. I hadn't done anything. But I'd provoked everyone's anger. Mom's icy gaze landed on my face, her high heels clicking sharply on the polished marble floor. Just as her raised hand was about to slap me, I looked up all innocent. Mom, let Jenny go take the money from my piano class refund. Her hand froze mid-air. She stared at me in disbelief. After all, I treasured every cent Grandma left me. That money was from the only person in this world who ever loved me. The bright future she left for me. Mom, I don't want to make things hard for you or Dad. I know it's not easy for you two to work hard and raise both of us. But Jenny just wants to go study art. Why can't we make that happen? You got 10,000 back from the piano class, right? Give it to her. I don't want her to misunderstand. After all, Mom loves us both the same. My words, loves us both the same, finally made this woman, who had always been cold as frost to me, look uncomfortable for just a moment. So she did know she was biased. How pathetic. But I still had to help Jenny. How could I not fulfill the wish of someone so desperate? Before the scolding Mom had stuck in her throat could dissipate, Dad's roar came from the bedroom. Jenny was trying to swallow sleeping pills. The roar from the bedroom was like a gunshot in the silent house. Jenny! Spit it out! Spit it out right now! Mom's face went white. She shoved me aside, her high heel clipping my ankle, and sprinted toward Jenny's room. I followed slowly, rubbing the sore spot, my expression carefully neutral. Inside, it was chaos. Dad had Jenny in a headlock, forcing her mouth open, while Mom was slapping her back frantically. A small, empty bottle of melatonin lay on the floor. Not exactly lethal, but dramatic enough for Jenny's purposes. I just want to die. Jenny wailed, tears streaming down her face, mixing with saliva. Violet hates me. You all hate me. I can't be an artist, I can't be anything. Oh, my baby, my poor baby, Mom sobbed, hugging Jenny as she coughed up half-dissolved pills. Don't say that. Who said you can't be an artist? Violet. Jenny pointed a shaking finger at me. She laughed at me. She thinks I'm a joke because I don't have Grandma's money. Dad turned to me, his eyes bloodshot with rage. You see what you've done? Are you happy now? Your sister almost killed herself because of your selfishness. I told Mom to give her the money, I said calmly. I told her to take the $10,000 from my piano refund. Didn't you hear me, Mom? Mom froze. She looked at Dad, then at Jenny. The narrative was slipping. She did say that, Mom muttered, though it clearly pained her to admit it. Jenny's sobbing hitched. She looked at me, confusion warring with triumph in her eyes. She hadn't expected me to fold. In her mind, I was the obstacle, the villain hoarding Grandma's inheritance. You really mean it? Jenny sniffled, wiping her nose on Mom's expensive silk blouse. Of course, I said, stepping closer. We're sisters. Your dreams are important. Go to Paris. Study art. Be free. I emphasized the word free. Free to be wild. Free to be reckless. Free to ruin herself without me lifting a finger. See? Dad exhaled, the tension leaving his shoulders. Violet is being reasonable for once. Take the money. Go on your trip. But no more scaring us like this, you hear me? Jenny nodded vigorously, burying her face in Mom's neck to hide her smirk. I walked out of the room. As I closed the door, I heard them cooing over her, promising her the world. Good. Let them give her the world. The higher she climbs, the harder she'll fall. Chapter 2, The Art of Deception. The next few weeks were quiet. Too quiet. Jenny took the money and enrolled in an art program in Paris. In reality, she moved into a luxury apartment downtown with Derek. I knew this because Derek's cousin, the blabbermouth in front of me in class, couldn't stop bragging. My cousin is living the life, he whispered to his friend during history. Got a sugar mama. She pays for everything. Rent, food, his car. She even bought him a Rolex last week. I smiled at my textbook. That Rolex was bought with Grandma's money. The money she saved penny by penny, selling vegetables at the market, just so I could have a future. It hurt. God, it hurt. But I let the pain fuel me. Meanwhile, I played the perfect daughter. I cooked dinner. I cleaned the house. I studied until my eyes burned. Without the piano lessons, I had more time, and I used it to secure my own exit strategy. I applied for scholarships, every single one I could find. I wasn't going to rely on my parents for college. I knew that fund would be gone soon, drained by their precious Jenny. One evening, Dad came home early. He was looking for something. Where is it? He muttered, tossing papers around his study. Where is my pen? I was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables. I paused. The Mont Blanc pen. The one Grandpa gave him. The one Derek stole. What are you looking for, Dad? I asked, wiping my hands on a towel. My pen. The silver one. I need to sign a contract tomorrow and I can't find it anywhere. Maybe you left it at the office? Mom suggested from the living room, not looking up from her drama. No, I had it here. I remember using it, that day. He frowned. The day you dropped the piano class. He looked at me. Suspicion clouded his eyes. Did you take it, Violet? Why would I take your pen? I asked, genuinely baffled by his leap in logic. You were angry about the class. Maybe you wanted to spite me. I wasn't angry, I said softly. I gave the money to Jenny. Remember? Then where is it? He slammed a drawer shut. Things don't just disappear. Maybe. I hesitated, acting as if I was afraid to speak. Maybe Jenny borrowed it? She was in here that day. Before you came home. Dad went still. Jenny? Why would she need a pen? For her art? Or maybe she just liked it. You know how she likes shiny things. It was a weak seed, but it was planted. Dad grunted and went back to searching. But I saw him glance at the empty spot on his desk where the pen used to sit. A few days later, I came home to find the house buzzing with tension. Dad was on the phone, shouting. What do you mean, insufficient funds? I transferred $5,000 last week. He slammed the phone down. He looked at Mom. Jenny's card was declined. She says she hasn't eaten in 2 days. Oh, my poor baby. Mom cried. Send her more. Immediately. I can't. Dad roared. The account is empty. She burned through $15,000 in a month. What the hell is she doing in Paris? Buying the Eiffel Tower? I sat at the table, opening my book. Maybe art supplies are expensive, I suggested. Or maybe rent. Paris is pricey. She's supposed to be in a dorm. Dad paced the room. I'm going to check the statements. He logged into the bank account. I watched his face turn red, then purple. Restaurants. Bars. Men's clothing stores. Why is she buying men's clothes? Maybe for models? Mom offered weekly. For sketching? A $3,000 leather jacket for a model? Dad slammed his fist on the table. She's lying to us. Don't say that. Mom defended. She's probably just confused. She's young. She's alone in a foreign country. She's spending my retirement fund. Call her, I said. Ask her to video chat. Show you her art. Dad grabbed his phone. He dialed Jenny. She didn't pick up. He called again. And again. Finally, she answered. The background was dark, loud music thumping. Dad? What? I'm busy. She sounded drunk. Where are you? Dad demanded. Why are you buying men's clothes? It's a costume party. For school. I have to go. She hung up. Dad stared at the phone. For the first time, I saw a crack in his blind devotion. She's not in school, he whispered. Chapter 3, The Surveillance. The crack wasn't enough. Mom smoothed it over, making excuses, transferring money from their emergency savings. They were in denial. They needed proof. And I had it. I waited until they were both out on a Sunday afternoon. I went into the study. The security system was old, but the camera Dad installed years ago to monitor the nanny, back when we were kids, was still there, hidden in the bookshelf. It recorded to a local hard drive in the closet. I found the drive. I plugged it into my laptop. I scrolled back to the date. The day of the piano class. There it was. Jenny and Derek. It was graphic. It was disgusting. But it was also undeniably clear. Derek's face was visible. The tattoo on his neck, a snake wrapping around a dagger, was clear. And at the end, as they were getting dressed, I saw it. Derek picking up the pen. Twirling it. Slipping it into his pocket. Jenny saw him do it. She laughed and kissed him. She let him steal Grandpa's legacy. I copied the video files. I didn't send them to Dad yet. That would be too direct. They would blame me for spying on my sister. No. I needed them to find it themselves. I unplugged the drive. But I left the folder open on the desktop computer screen. Just minimized. Then I waited. It took 3 days. Dad went into the study to pay bills. I heard the click of the mouse. The silence. Then, a sound I had heard before in my nightmares. A scream of pure rage. Jenny. Mom ran in. I stayed in my room, listening. What is it? What happened? Look. Dad yelled. Look at your precious daughter. Look what she did in my study. On my desk. I heard Mom gasp. Then the sound of retching. Who is that? Mom whispered. Who is that man? He's a thug. Look at him. And look. Dad rewound the video. He took the pen. He stole my father's pen. And she let him. No. No, she wouldn't. It's right there, Lily. She's not in Paris. She's here. She's been lying to us for months. She took the money and ran off with this criminal. The illusion was shattered. The glass house they built around Jenny was crashing down, shard by shard. Chapter 4, The Confrontation. They tracked her down. It wasn't hard. The credit card transactions led them straight to the luxury apartment complex downtown. They dragged me along. We need you to hold the bags, Mom said, though I knew she just didn't want to be alone with Dad's fury. We arrived at the apartment. Dad banged on the door. Jenny. Open up. No answer. But we could hear voices inside. Laughing. Dad didn't wait. He kicked the door. It was sturdy, but Dad was fueled by a lifetime of betrayal. On the third kick, the lock splintered. We burst in. The apartment was a mess. Takeout boxes, empty bottles, clothes everywhere. Jenny was on the couch, wrapped in a sheet. Derek was shirtless, playing video games. They froze. Dad? Jenny squeaked. You. Dad walked over to Derek. He grabbed him by the neck and hauled him up. Where is my pen? Derek shoved Dad back. Get off me, old man. Dad stumbled. He looked at Jenny. You let him push me. Jenny scrambled up. Dad, stop. You're ruining everything. Derek loves me. He loves your money. Dad screamed. My money. He looked around the apartment. This is where the tuition went. This trash heap. It's our home. Jenny cried. It's a squat. Mom yelled, stepping forward. We saw the video, Jenny. The study. We saw everything. Jenny went pale. She looked at me. You told them, she hissed. I didn't say a word, I replied calm. You did it on camera. Derek laughed. So you saw the show? Hope you liked it. Dad lunged at him. Derek punched Dad in the face. Dad went down, blood pouring from his nose. Stop! Mom screamed. Jenny just stood there. She didn't help Dad. She didn't yell at Derek. She just watched, terrified that her meal ticket, Dad, was being broken by her fun ticket, Derek. I calmly pulled out my phone and dialed 911. Police, please. Assault in progress. And I think there are drugs on the premises. I had seen the white powder on the coffee table. Chapter 5, The Arrest. The police arrived in minutes. They found the drugs. They found the stolen pen in Derek's pocket. He was arrogant enough to keep it. They arrested Derek. Babe. Tell them. Derek shouted as they cuffed him. Tell them it's yours. Jenny hesitated. She looked at the police. She looked at Dad, bleeding on the floor. It's his, she whispered. You bitch. Derek screamed. I'll kill you. I'll kill all of you. They dragged him away. Jenny turned to us, tears streaming down her face. Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry. He forced me. I didn't want to. She tried to hug Mom. Mom stepped back. He forced you? Mom asked, her voice trembling. He forced you to steal? He forced you to lie? He forced you to laugh while he robbed your father? Yes. I was scared. Liar, Dad croaked from the floor. He wiped his bloody nose. I saw the video. You weren't scared. You were enjoying it. He stood up, shaky but resolute. You're cut off, Jenny. The apartment, the cards, everything. It's gone. No. You can't. Jenny wailed. I'm pregnant. The room went silent. I looked at her stomach. Flat. You're lying, I said. I'm not. I took a test this morning. It's Derek's baby. Mom's face crumbled. The grandchild card. It was the ultimate trump card. Pregnant? Mom whispered. Yes. And if you kick me out, I'll have nowhere to go. The stress will kill the baby. Dad looked torn. He hated her actions, but the idea of a grandchild, it weakened him. We can't leave a baby on the street, Mom pleaded to Dad. Sean, please. Dad sighed. A heavy, broken sound. Pack your things. You're coming home. I watched them. The cycle was starting again. She played the victim, they played the saviors. But this time, I wasn't going to be part of it. Chapter 6, The Exit. They moved Jenny back into her old room. She was insufferable. She demanded special food, complained about the noise, and treated me like a servant. Violet, get me water. The baby is thirsty. I brought her water. I smiled. Because I had my acceptance letter. Full scholarship. Room and board. At a university on the other side of the country. I packed my bags quietly at night. 2 days before I was set to leave, I found Jenny in the kitchen. She was drinking wine. Alcohol? I asked. For the baby? Jenny rolled her eyes. There is no baby, idiot. I faked the test. I just needed a place to stay until Derek gets bail. I stared at her. You're not pregnant. Nope. But they don't need to know that. By the time they figure it out, I'll have emptied their safe and be in Mexico with Derek. She swirled the wine. You know where the combination is, don't you? Grandma told you. I don't know it, I lied. Liar. You were her favorite. Tell me, or I'll tell Mom you hit me. I'll say you tried to kill the baby, dot. She grinned, a predatory, ugly smile. Fine, I said. I'll write it down. I wrote a number on a piece of paper. It wasn't the safe combination. It was the date of my death in my past life. Thanks, sis, she sneered, snatching the paper. That night, I left. I didn't say goodbye. I left a note on the kitchen table. I got a scholarship. I'm leaving. Don't look for me. And check the wine bottles in the recycling bin. Pregnant women don't drink Merlot. I walked out the door and got into the Uber. As we drove away, I saw the lights of the house flicker. Chapter 7, The Fall. I didn't look back. I started my new life. I studied. I made friends. I worked. I healed. 6 months later, I got a call from a neighbor back home. Violet? Did you hear? Hear what? Your parents' house, it was robbed. Robbed? By your sister. And her boyfriend. He got out on bail. They cleaned the place out. Jewelry, savings, everything. Your dad tried to stop them. Derek, he beat him bad. He's in the ICU. My hand tightened on the phone. And Jenny? She drove the getaway car. But they were speeding. They hit a truck on the highway. Silence. Are they? Derek died on impact. Jenny, she's paralyzed. From the waist down. She'll never walk again. I hung up the phone. I sat in my dorm room, looking out at the sunset. The psycho old man in Bitter Ridge. The pig pen. The pain. It was gone. Jenny would live. But she would live in a prison of her own making. Trapped in a body that wouldn't move, dependent on parents who had nothing left to give because she took it all. Dad survived, but he was broken. Mom was a shell, caring for an invalid daughter and a disabled husband, with no money and no hope. They had their wish. A 3-generation household. No one to disturb them. Epilogue. Years later. I am a successful architect. I build houses that are full of light and safety. I never went back. I send money sometimes. Anonymously. Just enough to keep the heat on. Not because I forgive them, but because I am not them. One day, I received a letter. It was shaky handwriting. Jenny. Violet. I know it's you sending the money. Mom thinks it's charity. I know better. I hate you. I hate that you escaped. I hate that you won. But, thank you. I'm in hell. And I deserve it. I burned the letter. I watched the ashes float away in the wind. Yes, I whispered to the empty air. You do. And I walked back into my life, free. The end.